Hey everyone, welcome back to Grief and Brief by Henry Ford Sandcastles. Today I'm going to talk about going back to school after the death of a loved one. And it's great to be able to share this information with the community because it's so important to talk about these things. And as we reach the middle of August, many parents and caregivers are starting to think about going back to school, which can be a difficult transition after a long summer away from the classroom. And this can be even more difficult after a death loss. So you may be asking yourself, what can parents and caregivers expect when their child goes back to school after the death of a loved one? And this can be a really tough time for everyone involved. The child may be feeling a lot of different emotions like sadness or anger, maybe even confusion or guilt. They may also struggle with schoolwork and completing that and being able to make friends this school year. So it's important for parents and caregivers to be patient and understanding and to offer their child support. I know, though, that this can be really hard for caregivers, especially when you yourself are also grieving. So, how can caregivers help their child or children in this transition? And there are a few things that caregivers can do. First, it's important to talk to their child about the death and how it's affecting them. This can be a difficult conversation, but it's important to be honest and open. Parents can also help their child develop a coping plan for dealing with those difficult emotions in their grief. This may include things like exercise or different relaxation techniques or journaling. And this coping plan is going to be different for each child depending on their unique interests and coping skills. And lastly, it's also incredibly important for caregivers to make sure that their child has a support system in place, such as friends and family and people in the school, like school counselors and social workers. And I think that this is all really good advice, but this leaves out a large piece of the puzzle, which is that child's teachers. What should parents say to their child's teachers after a death loss? I think that it's important for caregivers to communicate with their children's teachers about the death. This is going to give the teachers a heads up and allow them to be prepared to offer support to the child. Teachers might be able to make accommodations for that child, such as allowing them to take breaks when they need them, or allowing them to turn in assignments late. And the family can work out a plan with that teacher and the grieving student to decide whether or not the news of the death is told to their classmates. And if it is, how that information is shared. And I think that this piece is really important, and this is great information to know. It's important that we keep that control in the hands of the student experiencing that grief and loss and let them decide what information is shared, how it's shared, and with whom. Maybe that child wants their peers to know about the death so their friends can best support them. And maybe they don't want their classmates to know anything about the death so that school can be a place where they can focus on schoolwork and having fun. And that decision should be made by that child. That power should be given to them, especially after a death when they may not feel like they have much power or choice in anything that's going on, when their world's been flipped upside down. So, thinking about the teachers, there's some questions that teachers might ask a student who has lost a loved one. They might ask how the student is feeling, how they're coping with the loss, and if there's anything that they can do to help. They might also ask about the student's academic progress and if they're having any trouble with schoolwork. Teachers can be such a great source of support for grieving students. They can offer the student a listening ear, and they can help the student connect with other students who have also lost loved ones. They can also be flexible with assignments and deadlines, and they can help to provide that extra support when it's needed. And so, all of this to say, a teacher's role is huge in helping grieving students to heal. I know that teachers often feel like they don't know what to do or to say in these situations, but it's really helpful for them to know that they can just be present for the students, and that is enough. It can make a big difference in the life of a grieving student to have a teacher that's there and present for them. And I want to end today's episode by reinforcing that this is a difficult topic, but it's important to talk about it. And I hope that this information is helpful to caregivers and teachers who are supporting grieving students. And if you or someone you know is grieving the loss of a loved one, please reach out for help. There are many resources available, including grief counselors and support groups and community organizations like Sandcastles. And for more information about our services, please visit www.aboutsandcastles.org or call us at 313-771-7005. Thank you for listening.